Minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillah, ahlan wa sahlan kepada semua. InsyaAllah hari ini kita akan adakan satu sesi sharing online yang bertajuk tips and trick on how to increase your publication. Dan bersama kita hari ini adalah tetamu jemputan kita, Profesor Dr. Mohamad Pauzi Zakaria daripada University Malaya, dan ada kita punya moderator kita daripada Jepun, saudara Hazarul. So program kita hari ini adalah anjuran bersama daripada perintis dan juga saudara Hazarul, perintis dan juga YPP ataupun satu unit dalam perintis. Kita ada yang profesional perintis. So ni adalah antara lanjutan program-program online dan juga yang biasa kita buat secara berjumpa. Cuma uniknya hari ini kita ada 3-4 negara yang akan join. So ada daripada Jepun, ada daripada Malaysia dan ada lagi daripada beberapa negara yang lain. So sebagai permulaan, insyaAllah saya perkenalkan dulu kita punya orang kata pakar kita. Kita punya panggil penyampai. Brief biodata ni dalam English. So saya bacakan dalam English tapi mungkin saya boleh translate sikit nanti. Okay, Professor Dr. Mohamad Pauzi Zakaria is an associate member of the Institute of Ocean and Earth Sciences from University of Malaya, Malaysia. And he was a visiting professor at IOES, University of Malaya, from 2015 to 2016. Currently, he is a visiting professor of organic geochemistry at National Yunlin University of Science and Technology in Taiwan. He is also an associate fellow, Institute of Oceanography and Environment, University Malaysia, Terenganu, from 2014 until now. And Professor Pauzi is a founding director in Environmental Forensic Research Center, ENFORCE, in UPM, University Putra Malaysia. He obtained a Bachelor of Science from Western Michigan University, USA, and Masters of Science from Florida University of Technology, and from the University of Massachusetts, USA. And Prof. Pauzi obtained his doctorate in organic geochemistry from Tokyo University of Agriculture and Technology, Japan in 2002. So ni orang kata BFG Jepun juga, no kodai. Prof. Pauzi has travelled far and wide for research collaborations, including the Antarctica and the Arctic. So maknanya banyaklah research dan juga kajian yang telah dijalankan di serata dunia. And his current research interest is mainly in marine pollution and environmental forensics, particularly oil pollution and microplastics in the marine environment. Prof. Pauzi has published extensively in peer-reviewed journal in the subject of marine pollution and environmental forensics, and Prof. Pauzi was the recipient for Anugerah Akademik Negara for publication in 2010. So dalam kita punya edaran ada juga maklumat tambahan yang telah diberikan tentang citation dan juga H-index yang boleh kita sama-sama belajar nanti insyaAllah. Lebih kurang 4,260 citation from Google Scholar dan H-index 30 lah. So banyak yang mungkin kita nak dengar on how kita boleh cuba untuk nak dapatkan ataupun capai orang kata quality publication sebeginilah, dan Alhamdulillah macam mana mungkin nanti Prof boleh kongsikan pengalaman sebagai penerima anugerah akademik negara dalam bidang publication kan. So insyaAllah hari ini kita punya tajuk perkongsian adalah berkenaan dengan how to increase our citation, dan pastinya bila kata kita sebut tentang citation adalah berkaitan dengan publication lah, sama ada dalam journal ataupun dalam conference ataupun apa-apa lagi medium publication yang lain, book chapter dan sebagainya. So jadi tu sikit sebanyak sebagai brief introduction, kata ta'aruf ringkas lah. Jadi saya pun ta'aruf sikit lah boleh ke moderator? Okay, nama Ahmad Atif Mohamad Pauzi, sekarang bertugas sebagai pensyarah di University Teknologi Malaysia, Johor Bahru, di Fakulti Electrical di bawah Jabatan Kawalan dan Mekatronik, Control and Mechatronic Engineering Department. Bertugas dan juga bidang saya dalam bidang soft mechanism, soft actuator dan juga mechatronic dan control lah. So tu sikit pengenalan, dan insyaAllah nanti kita akan ada beberapa pusingan ada soalan, ada orang panggil break ke nanti sepanjang kita punya talk ni. Dan tadi kita mula tepat pukul 8 waktu Malaysia dan pukul 9 di waktu Jepun. So kita roughly ada lebih kurang sejam setengah. Dan medium kita ni ada satu channel untuk kalau contohnya macam ada yang nak tanya, nak bagi pandangan ataupun mungkin nak memperkenalkan diri, saya daripada Jepun ke, saya daripada Malaysia ke, saya daripada mana-mana ke. So boleh anda masuk di Skype, account dia madani.japan.online. So add sebagai ahli dalam grup Skype tu, dan boleh perkenalkan diri, dan juga mungkin kalau ada soalan nak bertanya pun boleh bertanya kat situ lah. So tu sikit sebagai pengenalan untuk sesi kita ni. So insyaAllah tanpa melengahkan masa, saya akan menjemput Prof Pauzi untuk mungkin mulakan sikit takruf kalau ada perlu ada pembetulan ke, dan mungkin boleh terus bagi pengenalan berkenaan dengan citation ataupun publication cara-caranya, dan mungkin kita akan tengok kalau ada soalan dan kita akan terus update untuk soal jawab dan diselang-seli dengan apa-apa sharing yang lain insyaAllah. So tafadhal Prof.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Sadri wa yassirli amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Jazakallahu khairan kepada Dr. Atif dan saudara Hazarul kerana memberi peluang kepada saya untuk bersama dalam program yang saya kata saya anggap julung kali, first time I experienced this kind of session live on the internet, and hopefully this will go on without any problem for this morning session, as I know it's early, very early in the morning, and maybe some of you are still waking up somewhere around the world. But here in Malaysia it's cloudy and we have been receiving a lot of rain lately. Could be a climate change or something, but we don't know. Briefly, I would add to my portfolio of ta'aruf just now. I was born in Terenganu long time ago, back in the year when we got independent, 1957. And I went to Sekolah Menengah Sains Kelantan as a first batch. After MCE, we call it MCE during that time, Malaysia Certificate of Education, and got a MARA scholarship to go to the United States, directly go to the first year university over there. We don't have any preparation studies during that time because everything was in English medium. Then my wife is also a professor in UKM right now. She is ICT girl, and we have 8 kids, all grown up. 5 of them already working, and some of them living overseas, follow their husbands, and few of them are still studying in the country. Okay, regarding the talk today, I will briefly touch on data collection and how from the data that you get from table to publication in high impact journal publications. And probably I would also touch on proofreading of your manuscript, how to do it, why you have to do proofreading, and so on. And then also a big issue in publication lately is plagiarism, where many people in the rush to get paper into publication, they make a shortcut way and try to copy paste or try to cook some data and modify some data, and that one is not uncommon to some people, but we have to deal with that very. How do you actually define plagiarism in terms of in serious and legal terms? So if I have already forgotten about this topic, please remind me, audience out there, to touch on that subject in case I forgot. Then there is also due process of submission, how we are going to submit, when are you going to submit, how your paper is ready, and so on. And of course, the main topic for today is how to increase your citations. Okay. I guess we have some audience now, you think, Dr. Atif? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Ada.
Okay. Very good. So, so bear with me. I will just, introduce. There are 5 people out there. We don't have a large number, but I think we'll increase.
Yeah, people will come in.
Yeah, more people will be coming, hopefully. Now, the most important thing about publication, because nowadays, if you are in the universities, in the academia, your key performance indicators besides teaching and extension, what you do to the society, is publication. You don't publish in the university, you will perish, and that is actually very scary to some people, especially young people who are going to start work as academia in the university. When you come back from your PhD and you come back from whatever place you study before, there are a lot of blood boiling. You want to continue your research, but when you come back to your lab in whatever universities you are, the lab or the situation is not even ready for you. This is the dilemma for not even for me when I just came back from Japan, and I got so much facilities within my lab in Japan. Then I come back and I don't have anything. And worse still, you don't have any budget. You don't have any research grant. Whereas in the university that you study, you have research grant from your supervisor, and it is always at the ready. You want to buy something, you always get it, right? So what happened is don't be in Arabic they call it la tahzan. Don't be sad, okay? Because you have to start somewhere. You have to start from scratch, whatever, and you have to know how to maneuver how to be your nest or your niche in the university, and you have to talk to people. You have to get to know senior professors, senior lecturers, and try to convince them that you are someone, you are somebody. Make your research and your talk, your course visible to people. To students, you have to tackle the students and get the good student into your research. So shop around, observe for 1 year. They are good students, and you try to enthuse them and say, hey, I have a good research topic. Would you like to join me in my exciting research? So make yourself known. Don't make yourself busy. Don't isolate yourself. Okay, and then because this is part of the data collection that I'm talking about in the first part of my speech, in order to collect data, you have to have somebody to help you. When because I'm a bit biased in the Western universities, and also I stayed in Sweden for like almost a year as a postdoc there, and I saw there are many ideals situation that you cannot bring back home. Those kind of environment, you are actually absolutely handicapped in terms of how the lab goes, how the equipment goes, and calibration of things, and all these are within the weaknesses that you will actually is killing you day by day. It will kill your innovation, your motivation. But I don't think so. You take this as a challenge. And then if you have a good student, you have a couple of people who can make a good data collection of your whatever research grant that you, they call it, in the university, they call it seed funding. Okay, seed funding, it's about 10,000 ringgit. The university give it to a new lecturer, new people. Take it, and make full use of it. Okay, I actually, for one, I got this seed money, and I can churn out 3 papers out of that. One is, Q4 paper, and the other one is cited conference, and that make head turns. Whose heads? People around you, your friend, your colleagues. They say, hey, I have been here for like 10 years, and I didn't have any paper to publish. And it depend on the university. If you are in RU, so much so that people will take notice of what you are doing. When people take notice, people want to collaborate with you. And don't cut off your supervisors from overseas, and these people are going to be your co-authors. Graduating with a PhD doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. You don't want to take your former university because it's pain in the neck to get a PhD in anywhere, and you feel like you are liberated. No, you are especially advantageous people who are studying in Japan. Your colleagues there, your friends who are working the same bench as you in the lab are the one that you are going to collaborate later, because some people, some students in Japan, when they go out, not working in the industry, they will be somewhere becoming a postdoc or assistant lecturer somewhere. So those are the ones who are going to. That's what I'm doing. This is based on my experience. Most of the earlier publications, if you can open in my Google Scholar, people who are studying with me in Japan, of course in the United States as well. So when you get a very good collection of data, don't waste it. For example, if you have undergraduate students with you, don't waste those very precious data that undergraduate collect. But of course, you have to monitor them. Monitoring of research is very important. Make sure that the data, qualitative and quantitative data, you should, be very careful so that the students are doing the right thing in the lab. So by that I mean, when you qualify the student in a very good data, then you can put them into a very good manuscript and try to send them not so high impact factor journal, but actually at least you can, I can say is you can already publish even at an undergraduate level. So for me, I use all undergraduate, masters, and PhD. Depend if for example, I want to give you an example. I have normally about 5 undergraduate students under me. So 5 undergraduate students will will have a slightly different topic, but actually they are doing the same thing. So out of this 5, you combine the data and you can make a very good one paper with all the co-authors, and you will become the corresponding author, of course. And the corresponding author is also a big issue in our country right now. So please remind me about that also. So I go ahead and talk more about how to, for example, make your manuscript be read and be cited at a very high citations numbers. First, you have to publish in a very high impact journal. There's no way out. There's no, what we call it, no options for you. Because if you notice in my Google Scholar, the first 10 papers are all Q1s. And those are the one that give me the highest citations. But it's a chicken and egg situation, actually. If you want to publish in a high impact journal and you are a beginner, you are a novice, and that doesn't make sense, isn't it? Right? Because nobody is going to take notice of what you write, and people won't trust you. People won't be excited about your research because you are you're just beginning to write. But there is a way out for that. You can rope in famous people, those who are already make names in publication, to be one of your co-authors. For example, my first paper is in as a PhD candidate is environmental science and technology. That one is about, right now is about 9 impact factor. But during my time, I published that in 2002. It was like 3 or 4, and during that time, it's already almost #1 in the world in my field in environmental science. And I was scared to death that my supervisor said, you have to publish in this. And the fact that I got a scholarship from Rompak, Japan, JSPS, and that's the requirement for them to get a Q1. So we try, try your best. And with the help of the persons who are, if not your supervisor, but somebody who are already seasoned in making manuscripts and publication, they can help you. So therefore, if you, there are tricks for you to get high impact publication. First, like I said, you have to include a very powerful person with like H index of like 12 or between teens, and he knows the arts of publication. And number 2, international people, because when you have co-authorships of many institutions, that will make a chief editor of that journal want to feel that this is very important publication, because of many brains goes into this manuscript, many institutions, and it is of international interest, not a local interest. And number 3, you should put you as a first author, and then the corresponding author should be the person that you are coming in, because by having you as a corresponding author, it means that you have already many students, you have already established your lab, and that won't give any help to the chief editor to convince you that you're already an established guy. Okay, so that is I think the most important trick that people won't know that much and won't practice that much. And also, in order to get into the high impact publication, you have to know how to choose your publications, where, to which journal. What I mean is that you should be publishing in a rising journal, not a dead journal. In order to know whether the journal is rising or not, you go to the journal website and see their impact factor increasing by year, or it's been steady, like not increasing that much for that particular year? And it's also the number of readership increase to that journal. If there is a increasing rate of people who are reading that journal, that is increasing, we call it rising journal. And rising, by having a rising journal also, it will give you a chance for your manuscript to be accepted, because that journal won the good papers very badly. So so it's double-edged sword, if you may think that way. So by having a rising journal also, many people around the world who are actually wanted to publish, and there is also a competition there. So if you get published, means you already competed with so many good papers. And if you are published in the rising journal, most likely your paper is very good. You know, there are many competitions around the world. People will send many of their manuscript in the and then the chief editor is filtering this many manuscript, and if you are given a space in that journal, that means an indication that your is a good one. And once you get into this kind of rising journal, one paper, then it give you confidence to publish even more after that. Okay, and what else should I put here? If you have I mean, an idea where to publish a journal, you scan the current journal. You go to the library or your own computer. You scan a few journal that, and of course, when you scan journal, you scan the contents and find out what is the current issue, what is the current topics people are publishing. You don't want your research to be at the sunset research, we call it. Yeah? Sunset research means you are doing research that most scientists, most scientific communities or engineering communities, we are engineers, have forgotten about it. It is an old issue. So you have to publish something new, something that is useful in applications of the current population of the world. So if you are publishing something that 15 years ago or 20 years ago, people already make issues and it's all forgotten, then most likely your paper will not be published. In order to know what the current issues, you have to scan the journal. You have to scan some of the journal, like 10 journal that you are familiar with when you are doing your literature review during your PhD students, and even from your working situations in your universities. You are, of course, get hold of a few journals that are your favorite journals. So look at them often, open them up and see what the current issues, and try to emulate. Try to for example, get into the game of doing research in the area that are currently published in the current journals, the journal that you like. And that's the way how to go. If you keep on pursuing the subject matter that are already being taken 10, 15 years ago, most likely people are not interested in reading your journal. Even if it get published, then you don't get citations. So we call it don't reinvent the wheels, yeah, in English. So because the wheel is already being invented, that's why you want to make another wheel, for that matter. So so therefore, and sometimes you have to be very clever. If you have, apply for ministry government fundings, don't forget to put as an acknowledgement the name of the funding, the number, the serial number, whatever, the project number, as an acknowledgement. That will also make the chief editor to understand that this is an important project approved by the government, and that country need persons who do research in that particular country. There is a subtle way to actually make the chief editor feeling that this project is important project. And what else? So, and if you get your paper being rejected, it's okay. It's part of life, you know. Don't bang your head against the wall. It's not the end of the world. But if some good journals, when they reject your paper, they give you reasons. Some of the reasons is laid out in the reviewer's comment, and you read those reviewers' comment very, very carefully, and try to fix it. But don't send it to that same journal. You resend it to another one, okay, to another journal. And by recycling and reprocessing and repolishing your manuscript according to the comments from the previous comments that the journal have rejected you, therefore, most likely another journal will be interested to see a cleanup manuscript, and they don't know that you have previously sent it to another journal. There are no way, unless you are telling them, no way that people will, another journal say, oh, this is previously rejected. No, they won't. Yeah, you keep silence on that, and now it become much improved, and when you read it, even you like it to get to another publication. And if it's still rejected, then you have to learn the trade, see what is happening. Maybe it's not enough. Maybe page numbers is not according to the format of the journal. Maybe not within the scope of the journal. Maybe there are mixed ingredients, not so specific. They are too common. Your manuscript may contain jumble up, many subject matter goes in, and it's not so specific. Maybe it's just a local interest. It's not an international interest. There are many things that can go wrong. Maybe the English is not right, So regarding the English, you have to now, most of the journal want you to, if English is not our mother tongue, our native, we are not native speaker anyway. Therefore, you have to send to, after you finish your manuscript, you have to send to the proofreading services. And Elsevier has this kind of services, and it costs not much money. When you propose a project, put that as one of the things that you want to use for the research. If not, then the project funder will not give you money, and you will have to fork out from your own pocket. So it costs around 100 to 300 USD to get a very good proofreading services. And they give you a certificate, and when you send those manuscripts for submission, and you attach the verification of that your manuscript is already being proofread, most likely the reviewers are very happy. The chief editor was very happy that English will be cleaned up. Because if you don't clean it up, what you will experience is, even though your paper is very good, the content is very good, your data is very high quality, and but your English is terrible. Therefore, it will delay your publication. Yeah, most likely the delay is not because of the wrong data or it's not relevant, but your English. So it's very unfortunate if it happens for you like this. So therefore, before you send to the so-called high impact journal, make sure your English is, not to say perfect, English is okay. Because English is relative, even the way we write a sentence, some people will not agree, and they will just, put it another way, but it means the same. So the reviewers have their own way of expressing things, especially scientists. They are very selfish. And another one, before I forget, I have to stop for some questions. I think I have been talking for more than 3 minutes now. Another way is when you want to make references in your manuscript, and when you submit, ready for submission, you will propose to the chief editor who are your prospective reviewers. Okay, you want to list 4 or 5 potential reviewers with the cover letter. In the cover letter, you would say, for example, okay, this paper has never been published before, and the results are, I mean, among the first we publish around the world. You know, make known. You know, make yourself big. You know, you should advertise what you have done. In the if you have a university, letterhead in the. Of course, when you work in the university, you have a letterhead. Use letterhead. PDF it, and you would say to the chief editor, this is the topic and what are your main findings, and I want to propose a potential reviewers, and you list down some of the reviewers that you find out from your previous experiences, or you find out from previous readings. When you scan the journal, the name keep those are the ones that you want to choose, you know. And then make sure that when you propose them as a potential reviewer, you cite them in your paper, at least one of his famous paper. Then when because chief editor normally they don't have any idea who are going to be reviewers for your paper, so more often than not they will take your list, your proposal. You know, they will send it to the reviewers, and if this really happen 100% of the time, because chief editor doesn't have any inkling who is because they are so busy. So when you already give them the potential reviewers, they will send it directly. And when, for example, I am the reviewer now, and Dr. Atif is making a manuscript, and Dr. Atif put my name in the references, one of the reference. What do I feel? I feel great, right? I feel like, oh, he is respecting my study, and he even cite me. That will make a positive outcome that, oh, okay, this paper, you know, some scientists are like that, you know, they are humans, you know, they say, oh, okay, imagine if you don't, you propose it as reviewer, but you don't even put his very famous paper in your references, and he will, you know, if some people it's okay, some people will say, you know, I have been doing research for 20 years and you don't even put my name in your paper, something like that, you know. So okay, I think I stop it from now, and there are many things that I covered just now, and I'm sorry that I talked too fast, and maybe you can catch up later, and anything that I have not covered, maybe you can, especially plagiarism, maybe you can question me later and then I can answer it, rather than giving you an explanation right now. So I'll give you chances. We have plenty of time to go, and I'm not sure how many people am I talking to now, but hopefully there are a couple of people who are out there listening in the YouTube, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions. Jazakallahu khairan for now.
Okay, Prof. Jazakumullah khair. I think we have around 13 points that I have jotted down. So one of the questions from Japan here is, I think this is a master student. So in order, one of your point was we have to publish in a very good journal, Q1 and Q2, for example. And sometimes for some students in Japan especially, the supervisor will suggest, okay, Atif, you may suggest you may publish here, here, here. But then it's quite, yeah, because we have several options. Maybe we can directly follow what the supervisor suggested, or should we go and search for another Q1 or Q2 journal, which is maybe slightly easier, or the time frame of publication is faster compared to the, for example, IEEE transaction, it may take around 1 year, not 1 hour, 1 year maybe. So what is your comment on that one? I mean, should we directly follow what the supervisor suggested, or maybe we can come up with a list of Q1, Q2 journal which may be related with the area of the research that we are doing, and how we can suggest to our supervisor, okay, maybe this is some option or alternative publication that we can go. I mean, this is not only on the technical thing of the publication or the journal itself, but on how to communicate, on how to persuade the supervisor. So do you have any experience on this with your Japanese supervisor, or any Western supervisors that you have earlier? Prof.
Very good. Good question. Okay. Yeah, it's very fortunate that I also experienced this so much when I was a student in Japan. My sensei is a very strict guy. He's like a friend, you know. He's younger, 1 year younger than me. So it's very difficult to deal with sensei when one sensei is so serious and one time outside become a friend. That's for me. And in Japan, in general, sensei is more like a god, you know. And you meet in the hallway, you say sensei, good morning, sensei, and you won't dare to go back home until your sensei go home. Is that right? So this is a culture they inculcate in Japan, whereby student shouldn't go against the supervisor. So having said that, I will not advise you, whoever questioned me just now, to go against your whims and fancy of your supervisor, because I think he knows better. He or she knows better what you are going to publish, depending on your results and things. And if he already suggested to publish in that particular journal, don't just accept it piecemeal. You can ask, you know, in a very tactful way, that you don't give an answer right away. You give me time to think. So he will respect that, you know. Yes, and you have to play this emotional thing with your supervisor. You know, I don't know how much relation you have with your supervisor. If you are kind of yes man, then you have a big problem. But if you kind of like, if you protest all the time, that's also giving a lot of problems. So you take in the middle path. You know, yes, sensei, I will think about that. Give me until tomorrow. Then you would go home and study the journal or cited conference that he or she suggested, your sensei suggested. Then you come up with an idea saying that, okay, how about I have looked at this journal and I think I want to publish in this. Before you even say that, you have to have bullets to shoot at him. I say, why? And then he asks you, why are you interested to publish in this journal, in the other journal? Then you will say, you know, impact factor is not so high, so easy to publish, and acceptance rate is about 60%, 40% is rejection rate, and I saw many topics are similar to my topics. There are many advantages, you know. So you can try that. If not, then if you know that your supervisor is kind of like one-way traffic, no matter what you say, they won't listen, then you better follow. If not, then your master's degree will be at stake. Many of my friends who go against this sensei in Japan won't make it. So be very careful. If you follow him, most likely he will help you. The sensei will help you to polish the paper later. And don't worry, you know, because you are a master's degree and you just need a publication. I know it's going to be helpful when in your future career, but to get a degree in master's degree is more important than anything else for that particular moment. So I wouldn't advise to go against your sensei at the very first time you want to publish. You know, I think he or she already doing some research and some analysis of how you perform and how the journal is doing, and so maybe what he has decided could be the best thing you could have done. That's my feeling based on my experience. So don't go ahead and behind his back you try to, you know, run away from his suggestion without having very good reasons behind it. He or she want you to publish in that journal for a reason, and if that reason is clouding your mind, then ask him, you know, honestly, you know. Don't say, no, I don't want to publish in this journal. It's a very crazy journal. You just don't want to say that, you know. I hope I answered that question. Back
Okay,
to you.
jazakallah khair. Okay, bro. Another one before we continue, regarding the co-author, when you suggested maybe we can add in somebody who is in the area, or maybe people who are well known in Japan, for example, in India, for example, in certain area that we are working. So I think as a student it's quite difficult, but then if we are academician, then maybe we have this kind of options. So normally for supervisor, they will set who are the authors or the co-authors of the paper. So for example, my experience in Japan, maybe the supervisor said, okay, maybe you, me, and another one student, for example, A, who is related in this paper. So, for example, when you mention we can suggest some other people in the area that we can add in, or I mean, how if we are a student, how can we mention this to supervisor, or maybe if we are still students, we don't have to put this option in, or maybe after we are working as academician, we can plan it for our next journal. So what is your comment on that, Prof?
Okay, I'm so sorry that I was not clear on that now that the question arises. So I have to redefine the co-authorship very clearly, very carefully. Okay, one of the key issues in co-authorship is contributions to the research. You know, those who are not contributing means that no contribution at all to the making of the manuscript. You cannot put it as a co-author of your paper. That is an ethical viewpoint in scientific writing. So, so if you are a student, you better follow whatever your supervisor has already suggested to you. And you can actually recommend to your supervisor that those individuals or those scientists, those researchers that are already they are listed as your co-authorship could be one of the prominent professors in your faculty, in your department or in your school, so that most likely the chief editor will see the big name there, and most likely it will be accepted. Like my sensei, they even rope in persons from the United States, and of course that professor of mine, my previous supervisor, read and put some thoughts into the journal, and I think about 5 to 10% of his contribution to polish up the paper. He is suitable to be a co-author, and that makes the paper look, you know, like international enough. But if you are a student, other than academicians like Dr. Atif and me, right now, I have more choice. Even that, I have to be cautioned myself, so that people who wanted to be the co-author must be almost more or less same area of discipline of study. Number two, has some contributions. So and that person must agree to be a co-author. You cannot simply pick up a name from the sky and put in your co-authors and to make your paper look good. And nowadays you can actually see almost instantaneously from a Google Scholar that your name pop up, and that will become a shock to your life to say, hey, who has put my name in a quota and without my permission, and you can get into big trouble. So don't do that. Have the person know about what are you doing, and the process of making manuscript has to be made known to all co-authors, what is the stage and things like that, so that everyone would participate and would contribute to make the final version of the manuscript. As a master's or PhD students, you actually, honestly speaking, you don't have much choice. Your sensei will decide, but you can actually persuade. Having now know that I have been speaking to you right now, there are instances where you can make co-authorship look even better, to suggest to your actually sensei that, okay, can we put that guy as our co-author, and we can make him look at our manuscript, and that will make our co-author, authors of the paper will be better for the chief editor later. You can actually say that. It depends on your supervisor. If your supervisor is a kind of dictator, don't try it, because some supervisors can get very angry, and people, humans, whether you are American, Japanese, or Malaysian, they behave the same way. They go against their will. They will be very angry for no reason sometimes. So be very careful on that.
Okay, Prof. Jazakumullah khair for your response and comments. Okay, inshallah we can. We don't have any question until now yet. So maybe we can proceed with the sharing. For example, on the
plagiarism.
Yeah, on the plagiarism.
Yeah. Okay, plagiarism is a big issue. As we saw some people being, especially in Korea, in South Korea, a few years ago, they plagiarized on stem cell. They cooked the data, and they say that they found a stem cell to fix some very terrible disease in human. And later, I think they published in Science or in Nature, and they have to retract the paper, and that become a very international and sensational issue. That's the big one. And another one is on the cold oxidation method. In my field, there is a cold oxidation method of analysis of, I think, heavy metal or something like that in the ocean. And a Japanese scientist with his student actually cooked that. Suzuki and Nakamura, the name I remember now. Suzuki is a student, Nakamura is his sensei, and somehow Suzuki, the student, cooked the data, and Nakamura is a supervisor, corresponding author, and it's published in Chemical Oceanography journal, highly impact factor journal, and #1 in oceanography. And that guy was because when you publish in a very high impact journal paper, people want to repeat your experiment. When you want to publish in a journal, be careful about your method. Make sure that it's repeatable. If people cannot repeat it, people will get suspicion. Because journal, in a way, is like education. People want to repeat the experiment elsewhere. When you do in Malaysia, for example, you want to repeat it in Scandinavia country, it is repeatable. But once it's not repeatable, that means an error, and it is a major error, or you plagiarize. That's the 2 or 3 explanations behind it. So don't ever cook any data. You have to express the data wherever the data that is produced by your machines. When your machines are highly calibrated and you already test the background and the electrical things is correct, and the voltage is okay, it's no funny readings coming out, the background is 0 and things like that, then you are confident with your data, and put it. Whatever ugly your data is, that's your data. You have to believe in your data. But when the graph is crooked or it's not the way you expect, then some students begin to make the graph smooth, and the thing that and the dots, try to persuade the dot to be in the same cluster and so on. So that is very common among students, so that the sensei won't be very angry and make the graph look beautiful. But people will catch it, you know, people out there, when you publish, people will catch you one way or another. Don't ever plagiarize your own work, you know. Plagiarizing your own work could also means that you use the same data, same text, same paragraph of your own paper and just copy and paste it into a new manuscript. That is considered also plagiarism. Some people think that you copy from another one, but your previous publication, you know, it's already published, and if you reuse it again and again, therefore you are plagiarizing your own work. People don't understand that. Yeah. And also, if you found a very good figure or table or illustrations in other journal, and you just, you know, it looks so beautiful to you, you don't have to redraw it again and just reuse it and paste it directly into your pages of manuscript, that's also plagiarism. So key issue is that you have to ask permission. That's what corresponding author is there in the first place. You what happened is you write to the corresponding author that okay, I like your journal, I like the paper that you publish, and one particular figure attracts me, and I would like to reuse it in my publication here. Could you give me permission? Then if he gives you permission, you write in an email, then rightfully you can use it with permission. You can put it in the caption, say with permission. Okay, and then if the chief editor asks you where is the permission, then you can show you can correspond to the chief editor. This is the permission I got from the author himself. Okay, and if you desperately need also that kind of figure, and you have to modify it. You have to modify, redraw it in any way, and then again you write to the corresponding author. I have used your data, but I have severely modified it, and can I have permission to use it? And if he doesn't answer, no response to your email, and you go ahead and use it, and then the chief editor say, hey, you are plagiarizing people's work. I say, I already sent email, there's no response. Then most likely chief editor will be with you. They say, oh, you already did what you have to do. But then no response, that means silence means consent, right? In English, silence means consent. Silent means, okay, go ahead. So, but be very careful. My advice is don't try to reuse other people. You know, God give you good brain, so why are you copying others? Just draw it by yourself and ask if you're academician. If you're academicians, ask your students to draw. If you are a student, then you are the one who's going to draw or going to illustrate. You're going to devise the very good table, and you feel good about it. You impressed because once it's published, oh, this is my work. I don't copy from anybody's work. This is my own handwriting, my own work, days and night, and you feel very great. You feel good about yourself. You feel a lot of confidence about it. So that's what plagiarism also means. And Dr. Atif, I would like to continue on the co-author, corresponding author issue. Many people, especially in Malaysia, when I get back, people don't understand what is corresponding author, because in a manuscript, there are first author, second author, third author, fourth, and so on until like 6 or 7 authors. And how many authors there are, I also want to touch a bit on that. Actually, when you are a student and you know that you're going to be an academia later on, first author is a must. I mean, people will cite you. You know, that's the way how to go to have a good citation. People will cite your name. You as a student in Japan, they understand already. Normally, when you do masters or PhD, your name is first. Yeah, and then your sensei will be number 2 or number 3, sometimes number 4. Depending on the contributions. But in the country, in Malaysia, if you want to come back to Malaysia as academia, people don't understand that. And in UPM and UM, they already understand the situation. Co-author, the corresponding author is the one who owns the research. Okay, please understand that. It's defined like that. who owns the research, and most likely who owns the research is actually you. When you are applying for a proposal and you get a research grant and you have a PhD student under you, so don't put you as a first name, first author. Never. You put as a corresponding author, because in any journal, corresponding author is the one people will recognize. You have the most points. If you are going to assign points, corresponding author has the highest point. No matter where the position of the author you are being placed in that manuscript. Okay, please understand that. And secondly, you have to understand that the research is not you, the student, right? They will go day and night. They switch on the machine. They collect the data, and they are by right have to be the first author because you're a student. And when the paper got published later, people will know outside the world. People will know, oh, this is Dr. Atif Pauzi's student. He is the corresponding author. The first name is definitely his student. So that will universally accepted a kind of format around the world. We had earlier, when people don't understand about corresponding author, a very big professor actually put his name as a corresponding author and also a first author, and his student second or third, and that gives a very bad name to his group, and saying that this guy is very selfish, you know. And when he or she want to publish again, people take caution. You know, this guy is very, very mean, not to give a chance to the student at all. So you don't want to carry your bad name, even if you are a professorship later, you want to carry. Internally, it's okay. In Malaysia, people don't care much about it. But internationally speaking, when you want to be invited as, for example, keynote address later, you won't get invitation in the long run. So be very careful. Understand this point early in your career, so that you will make that kind of mistake. Okay, back to you, Dr. Atif.
Okay, Prof. Jazakumullah khair for the updates on the plagiarism. So normally, when you talk about co-authors, what is the optimized numbers of authorship in a paper?
Okay, good question. Some good journal doesn't have limit. For example, the highest citation that I have right now is about 700 over. We have maybe more than 20 co-authorship. Okay. Yeah. The key is, I think, not the number, but who's who in your authorships. You know, the more you have multiple authors of different nationalities and different research institutes around the world, the better, because that will make the research international, very, very, very international, and of international interest to the maximum. If you have people co-authorship just in small lab in UTM, for example, people will say, oh, this is an inbreeding. You know, they have the same ideas, they have the same interests, and nothing of an international value. So therefore, most likely people will say, oh, this is just, you know, a local issue, even though your findings is great. So I would say on average, you know, 4 or 5 on average. But if you get more, you have to have reasons behind it, multiple. And make sure that everyone in the authors that you listed have contribution to the paper. Somebody come and call you, hey, I know that you've been very well, a good name in publication. Can you put my name as one of your co-authors? You know, they lobby you, they make lobby. Yeah, I don't accept it. Even though it's closest of friend, even though it's your head department, even though your dean, even your vice chancellor. You know, you don't do that. You don't just simply put names and later people find out, hey, this guy has been published in, for example, in social science, and his name is appear in electronic engineering. that is a mismatch altogether. And at the international level, people will say to the corresponding author, for example, you as corresponding author, you are seeking favor from this guy because you will later be added name. Say, oh, yeah, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. That is not what's happening in scientific community. You have to have minimum of like 1-2% contribution. You know, this is not a welfare kind of business. You know, okay, this time this paper, I want you to put my name, and don't forget, I want to you put my name next in your paper. Yeah, this is common in you know, it's like trading. This is not what's happening in the scientific community. You will be punished later, one way or another. People will see. So in my earlier career, I was misled by a few individuals, and I have one name. Luckily, it does not appear in Google Scholar, and I feel like I'm so happy. I published in a very crazy journal, which is nothing to do with my area, you know, because during that time, numbers is everything, you know, how many paper you want to publish, you know, and I got one guy who the same thing happened, you know, hey, you put my name, and then later I put my name, and I was so happy, you know, I'm very, very glad. But luckily I went to the United States and to Japan and to Sweden and the other lab that I go, and I begin to understand the whole big picture of things in publication. Then I didn't do it anymore. But don't be surprised, some professors here, I don't want to name any university, still doing it, you know, as if they are not, you know, they are not, they are inside their own world, in their own cocoon, don't mix with other people, and they are still doing it, and their citations will go anywhere. You go and check Google Scholar, nothing. Not because they explain things, you know, because your name is spreading everywhere. Then people, you know, later on you want to be called as a professor in what, you know, because you are leading that way to be an academia later. If Dr. Atif now associate professor, of course one day he would dream to be a professor, right? So when you are a professorship, people will see your publications, people will review your publication, and time and again, time again and again, people will see what area you are, what is actually your specialty. Yeah, if you publish in a mixture of journals that are not even related to you, people will begin to see that you are jack of all trade. You don't want to be jack of all trade. You want to be specific. Like I am organic geochemist. I only publish in marine pollution. I am published in organic geochemistry journal, environmental forensic. Those kind of, you know, they will have, you know, no matter what you think, later you will have your own journals, your own specific area, you know. And in a university, you have to find a niche. You cannot duplicate. You know, like if you, for example, I am an organic geochemist and I have a HNF 30, then Dr. Atif said, no, I want to change my specialty now because he has a very good chance of publishing. No, you cannot. You have to remain steadfast in your discipline of knowledge. Yeah, and you create a niche within your faculty and go through. You know, of course there is a competition. So when you feel that the competition is great, try to find a sub niche so that you can, you know, you can work. And sometimes you get competitor that, you know, want to emulate you, want to do everything their students is doing what the same topic as your student. Let it be, because it's a free enterprise, free world, right? But show your mentor. You know, you publish first. Anything, any data that you have, you are there first. You know, it's like a running race. If you be like an Usain Bolt, you know, if he can run like 9.3 seconds, you will run 9.0, you know, against that guy. And at the tape, at the ending tape, in that 9.0, not 9.02, right? So it's a running race. So if that guy next door, in next faculty, is copying everything your research is, don't feel like, no, you are doing the same thing as I did. Doesn't matter. Then show your stuff. Your student will publish very quickly, and sooner or later, he will be left behind. He will be left behind. People won't take notice. People will take notice of you. So be steadfast. I have many people who are fake people in my career. Fake people. They want to do everything what I do. They don't have equipment. They send their students to me because they don't know. They don't advise anyway because it's not not his area. His or her area. Then I say, I forget it. I say to the student, go ask your supervisor why you ask me. I'm not the coot of the knowledge. No. What I mean is, why you coming to me, whereas you are studying with that supervisor is what is he doing? If I am the co-supervisor, it's fine. Later he put the co-supervisor to me, but I said I had enough. I have too many students to deal with. So later he'll be left out. Within 3-4 years, he's not in the scene anymore. Yeah, make them feel tired of you. Yeah. Make them feel tired, and you have to have energy. That last 10 meter, you leave them behind. At first during the starting block, you are the same, but you have to run 9.0. Don't run 9.2 second. So then you will be the Usain Bolt of publication. Okay, back to you.
Okay, jazakumullah khair, Prof. Okay, regarding the contents of material on certain publication that we would like to have or refer. So when you mentioned that we have to seek for permission, so is it I think from your explanation, the procedures, I mean, emailing them, I would like to use your graph, and maybe I have to put some reference on my citation figure 1, for example. So is this, let's say if I want to take something and I just put some reference there, so is it benda yang betul, or maybe we have to, kalau tak boleh in terms of getting this data. So some of the issue is we don't know, certain publication we have, but some of the data we can get it from internet, for example. So what is your suggestion on this? Kita memang nak kena minta purposely, if we didn't receive any response, so kita tak boleh nak guna ke, ataupun memang kita boleh ambil?
Okay, I have to make myself clear again regarding this issue. Maybe I don't make myself clear. Okay, regarding it's not the content. What I meant is some illustrations or some graphs or tables. If tables, normally you make some tables and you modify some table, and you will say at the legend of the table, you will say, okay, this table has been modified from John et al. 1982 with permission, for example. Yeah. You don't actually take a content. Content you will modify it, the findings will modify, and you will acknowledge it as a citations, after who and who. Okay, and don't copy word by word. You always have to modify the findings in your own words. Yeah. So like I say, if you are going to use it piecemeal mean exact same without any modification, definitely you have to ask permission from that guy. Definitely, that's quite definite. But if you modify it and you put in your own, for example, a table, there are many lines, and you put like 50% of your own data into that table, I think that's yours. You don't have to even ask permissions. If more than 50% of the table is make up your own new data, you don't have to actually Because when people publish, people are actually open for copying and for modifying and so on. But if you are less than 50% and people will say that, oh, this table, I've seen it before in other publication, if you just take the thing and it's just put a few numbers, then you get into trouble with that. So I think and also illustration, for example.
Yeah, from Google, from Wikipedia.
I don't advise too much information from Google. You Google it out, and because when you get information from Google, it's not reviewed. It's not peer reviewed. Anybody can write in, and especially statistics. For example, if you want to study road accidents in Malaysia, and there are data out there, many of them, there are like 10,000 accidents per year, and they don't give any citation, any references. So you better find the right source, the primary source. You go to the road department or something like that, and then you get the real data. Don't pick it up from somewhere that you don't know the source, the main source, and then you will get much problem later with the reviewers. So at times you want, for example, if you don't have any data, you want to speak to officials. For example, in my area, I want to know how many barrels of oil Petronas produce, because we have severe environmental degradation due to oil spill in our country, and the journal want to know how much oil is being produced and at the place where they operate. In the oil field. So I have to talk to the Petronas officer. I call them. And then take note who's person talking and what date. And you have to put that in the journal. Personal communication bracket. Okay, Malaysia produced 10,000 barrels of oil per day, according to Mr. Atif, Petronas officer, and things like that. You have to put in detail. If you don't believe me, you go and see my first paper in the Google Scholar, if you can download it. Personal communication. There are times when you don't have any data published elsewhere. For example, number of traffic, population, census, when you talk about geographical locations, how many people, when you talk about diseases. So you go to the primary source of information which are not published in journal. This is the way you cite it. Book chapters and things like that. You need to upgrade. If you have statistics, you better have the latest statistics. If you say Malaysian population in the year 2005 is 21 million, when people say, what about current population? People are not interested like, 10 years ago, people are interested right now. So, but right now, there's nothing. Then you go to statistics department, because they have the data, not yet reported, but they have a rough idea how much how many people are living in the country, if you, for example, want to use that kind of data in your manuscript. So that is, not people would do unless you know how to go about doing it. Like personal communication is often you find, especially in social science journal, they use this often, but in our engineering and science, we don't use it often. If you every paragraph is personal communication, that people will say, hey, this, what kind of manuscript is this? Everything is personal communication. You do it sparingly, sparingly.
Okay, Prof. Thank you very much. Regarding the citation, one of the method in having citation is, other than publishing it in a good Q1, Q2, or any reviewed journal, is to have our IDs, for example, Mendeley IDs, research ID, Scopus ID. So one of the issue is in sharing our paper, kan? So sometimes ada personal minta kita punya paper, so no issue on that one. But for example, in research ID, there are options. Maybe we can publish atau we can upload our paper. So some of the papers are being copyrighted by the publishers, IEEE, for example. But then I've seen some of the authors just lumber je and put their papers on just to to get better citation. So is there any other tricks from your
Okay, I think it's well known now, especially the issue of the ResearchGate. There are people in the Elsevier and in Taylor and Francis and big names in the journal publication. They want to sue ResearchGate because ResearchGate is such a powerful tool now that everyone has actually joined it one way or another, and sharing is unlimited, you know. And they have not resolved this issue yet until now, because there's too much things going on. So don't worry for it now. You can, for example, I saw people sharing in the Facebook their papers, you know, Facebook and whatever media platform right now. But if you PDF it, it's already published. I did it often, and I don't get any warnings from publisher that okay, you go against our legal procedure that you cannot publish because you belong to us, you know, because right now university libraries around the world are paying lots of money to the publisher. If you have a student ID or staff ID, then you go to the library, and if the library doesn't subscribe to that journal, then it's almost impossible without purchasing it. Right now, because of the budget constraints, many libraries around the world stop subscribing to Science Direct and many other things. Science Direct is very good platform that you can download it freely if that university of yours subscribe. If it doesn't subscribe, then you will be in pain. So one way is ResearchGate. You will request from your colleagues around the world and hey, I want you to upload your paper. Can I get it? It's very common now around the world doing that, especially ResearchGate. And other platforms, of course, Scopus and many other things. And Scopus is very difficult even now to get paper because of the issue of subscribe and unsubscribing of this journal. So the issue is still going on unless one day they say, hey, around the world you cannot use ResearchGate anymore. But ResearchGate is just coming in your email and coming in the alert. How many people cite your paper? And I really found one more full paper request all the time in the Gmail. It's still going on, and I don't know who's behind this ResearchGate. Must be some people around who are getting sick of this Elsevier trying to monopolize journal paper, because we have they actually you know, like Elsevier is one of the biggest name in publication, and they monopolize it, and ResearchGate is another one that maybe getting sick of this monopoly, and they do something that going to be helpful for us. So I see it no reason for me to stop ResearchGate right now. I think it's one of those LinkedIn also one of them, and then I have an account in LinkedIn, but I have an account in I have Research ID in Mendeley, and Mendeley is pretty good because it's run by Scopus. So I think that's the best option for academia and for students, Mendeley. And they give you a proper ID, and the platform is nothing illegal. But ResearchGate is between legal and not legal. So, but I'm still using it. My supervisor in the United States using it. My supervisor in Japan using it. So I say, who am I not using it? You know, like I want to be flying high also.
Okay, Prof. Regarding high citation and H index are very related. Yeah, I mean, the more the papers are being cited, then most likely the H index will be increasing. So maybe some of the audience are not, fully understand on how is the system being programmed. So what's the relation? So maybe you can share on the H index and citation a little bit.
Okay. H index is, for example, you have H index of 2. That means 2 of your paper has been cited 2 times. Okay, if you have H index of 10, 10 of your paper has been cited at least 10 times. Okay, please understand that. If you have, like for me, H index of 30, that means 30 of my paper has been cited at least 30 times. Okay, 30 times, 30 times.
Each paper 30 times, isn't it?
Yes, each paper 30 times. So, and that is not very easy to get, how to get it? Publish in high impact publications. Publish in high impact publication journals. Because when you publish in high impact publication, more people around the world will read it. More people want to publish in that journal. Means people are interested in that journal. They are relevant to the current issues. And you are already in that kind of journal. People, one way or another, people will read it. And people would think that, hey, this is a top journal. I want to get involved in that journal. And if someone published in that journal, maybe that is a very, very important journal to get into the publication in the first place. So it's kind of like, if, for example, if you publish in a very local journal, and although it is published in Scopus, 1 minute. Give me a second. You guys have keys? Are there? Okay, they're coming back from the market. Okay, so then I would say like Q1 is a must if you want to get the best readership. The Q1s. So the Q1 journal is the way to go to increase citation, because people would read the journal, people would subscribe to the journal around the world. If you publish in a local journal, although it's a good paper, most likely people won't get access to it. Yeah, accessibility of the journal. Yeah, so Elsevier is a must. Elsevier is top name. Yeah, top name. And what else? Taylor and Francis and Springer. Springer are also good in the Netherlands. But also one key issue now, Elsevier, is how you want to get it. Published in easier way. Even Elsevier. Now they divide into sections, like Europe, Asia, North America. There are three different chief editors. So please submit it to China. Please submit to chief editor in China. You should write. You can see in the journal page which chief editor you want to submit. So normally the Chinese editors are easier because they understand Asian values, Asian data, Asian kind of research. If you send to, for example, in UK or in Netherlands or in Europe somewhere, they have a lot of bias. They say, this research is not so well written. And there are a lot of 1001 excuses they have. But normally, my supervisor, my sensei say, oh, okay, we send to, for example, chief editor is in Japan is also even better. Yeah. So they are now, they break the chief editorial board to 3 main divisions around the world: North America, Europe, and Asia. Asia normally China and Japan.
So, Prof, is it for the same particular journal or for different kind of journal?
Many, I would say. Yeah, many, I would say. You can actually check.
Who's the chief editor?
Yeah, chief editor from where? If it's from China, you go ahead, because most likely they will, have not ehsan, but feel like we are in the same area,
Same region.
same region, same culture, things like that. Yeah. So to increase your citation, you have no options. You have to publish in a very top ranked journal to increase readership. More people read your journal, more people cite. Most likely, people will cite your work. Ask the students to, for example, I'll give you one example. My own experience. I went to Hong Kong, and they call it Marine Pollution Conference many years ago. City University of Hong Kong. Then I went there as 1 year after my graduation from PhD. But by that time, I already published one major Q1 paper, Environmental Science and Technology. Now it received 500 citations, more than 500. So I went there. It's just normal participant. I want to present an oral presentation, which is approved, but actually that conference is world famous. They do it once in 2 years. So I went with my supervisor. And when I went, because my publication name is Zakaria, Zakaria, my last name. So, and your publication name also I have to touch before, because we already 1.5 hours. I put it here, publication name, to increase your citation. So imagine students in that conference holding your paper. Oh, you are Professor Zakaria? I'm not even a professor yet during that time. Yeah. Are you a Professor Zakaria? And you see the paper has been highlighted with highlighter with students, and just imagine how proud you are, people from around the world reading your paper. Yeah. You don't even ask them, you don't even give them, they download it from their own library, So that's what I mean. You publish in a major scientific journal, major engineering journal, people will read your journal. You go anywhere, people recognize you. Yeah. And people will ask you, people will invite you to go to their labs and share with their students. Yeah. So publication name, because our Malaysian name, if you are a Malaysian out there, and you have to be very careful, our name is very complex. Bain,
very, very complex, yeah.
Yeah, Bain, Benti, Wan, Nik, Raja, Tengku, Angku, Tuan, Haji, Yang Berhormat, Dato. So, so therefore, which name are you going to use? Times and time again is very, very important. So for one, please exclude Bain and Benti. Male, Bain. Everyone know that in our country. We omit it, much easier. So because we have to emulate, whether we like it or not, the Western way of naming. For example, my name has been very consistent because my sensei told me, hey, what is your publication name? And I was like, what in the world he's asking me about? What is your publication name? This is my ID, this is my name. No, what you want to use in your publication. Yeah, I got it, the head start, my head start is correct in the beginning. That actually helped me propel my H index and my citation very, very high. When Google Scholar hunt your name inside the big data, they will find your name consistently. Yeah, Scopus also. So your publication name should be consistent. You decide, like my name is Mohamad Pauzi bin Zakaria. Okay, I omit bin, Mohamad Pauzi Zakaria. So my publication name, when the people cited, Zakaria, MP. M capital, P capital. That's it. Zakaria MP, all the time. But when I put it in my publication, I don't put Zakaria MP, I put Mohamad Pauzi Zakaria, full name. Mohamad, full, Pauzi, full, Zakaria, full. When people want to cite me, automatically become Zakaria MP. All the time. Consistently. So if you, for example, your name one active, Mohamad Pauzi, then you have 4. Try to reduce it to 2. Yeah. Because when people cite it, people will become confused and people will make mistake. Unless they use a EndNote or whatever apps that they are going to use for the citations, they will make less mistake. But the longer you make your name, the more complex they are not familiar with our name, then it becomes ugly, and Google Scholar cannot find your name, and Scopus cannot find your name, and you have to ask the Scopus person, please merge all my publication into one name. Then it becomes very complex and very tedious. Yeah, so make sure your name you have decided. You have to decide what is your publication name and consistent throughout your publication from now on. If not, you will suffer your citations.
Okay, regarding the name, for example, my name is Ahmad Atif Mohamad Pauzi. So I have this issue since the beginning of my publication. So previously I put my name, full name, Ahmad Atif Mohamad Pauzi, but then it's quite long, isn't it?
Very long.
Then I change it because my name I have Ain Ahmad Atif. We have apa tu?
Yeah, I know.
Ada
please avoid the ain and the mark and thing. So I would say, ask your dad, is it okay if I if I delete Muhammad? Your name is just, I'm not going to change your IC, but it's just for my publication, for my career. I just say Ahmad Atif Pauzi. Then now it becomes 3. More like my professor name is John William Farrington. Yeah, John Williams Farrington. So his name is always Farrington, that JW. Farrington JW. So therefore you FAA.
Okay,
there is a lot of sense going on.
Yeah.
But if you put Muhammad there, it becomes what? Pauzi AAM.
Yeah, Pauzi.
Yeah. That is too complex for many people around the world. So So I think I would suggest that you omit. You don't want to omit Ahmad because it's your name, and you don't want to omit Atif, and people start calling you Ahmad. And then you don't want to omit Pauzi, and then it becomes like what? You become Ahmad Atif Muhammad. So. And try to make sense of the name. So I suggest that Ahmad Atif Pauzi people will understand. Yeah, Muhammad is just a title, right? So luckily, my parents don't put me one because I'm not from one family. So not Tengku or royal family. No. So my name is just 3. So but except Bin, Bin we omit it all the time, even in Malaysia. So I would suggest that Ahmad Atif Pauzi is enough, so that from now on you use the same name throughout your publication. Then Scopus or Google Scholar will pick it up, and it's very, very easy for people.
Okay, so one of the because I do right now, so then I change it to A.A.M. Pauzi. So in all of my papers, I didn't write it full, Ahmad Atif Mohamad Pauzi. So your suggestion is because now halfway we have previous publication, now we are starting to change with the new name. So is it okay to change it now, or?
Yeah, it's okay. But the previous one, you should ask Scopus to merge your name, to merge into one. It's okay.
And then in writing the name in the paper, you
should have to put it in full, like Ahmad Atif Pauzi.
I see.
You spell it in full. Spell in full. Only people who want to cite your work will not put in full. They put in Pauzi AA.
Okay. Because some of my recent publication, because I want to make it standard, then I put it A.A.M. Pauzi. So
no. Because in the manuscript, if you put as if like in citations already, people want to know your full name. Yeah, it's not full name there. You have to, for example, my supervisor's name is Hideshige Takada. He doesn't put H Takada there. He puts full name.
Full name.
And then when he being published, Takada H, because Japan normally 2 names. Yeah, Takada H. Yeah. So he doesn't put Takada H there or H Takada. No, put full name. Then people will know what to do when they cite the paper.
Okay. Okay, that's one of my direct action after the talk.
Yes.
Okay, so now we are 9:40 at the moment. 10 minutes over.
Yeah.
So, Hazarul, any updates on your side? Mana? Okay, from Japan side pun mungkin tak ada. Okay, maybe some closing word lah from you, Prof. But then I think I have jotted down some of valuable information. For example, how to write for the the cover letter tadi kan, on suggesting some respective reviewers, and apa lagi tadi, on plagiarism issues, so on the name itself. So maybe more technically, saya rasa kalau contohnya macam dia nak tanya how we want to decide this journal is Q1 or this journal is Q2, maybe you can go to web of knowledge kan, apps.webofknowledge.com. Then from there kita boleh sort out in your area, this journal is Q1, this journal is Q2. And we have also scopus.com where you can also check your paper whether this is a Scopus based or non-Scopus journal kan. And kalau ikutnya Scopus dengan Web of Knowledge ni, ranking dia Web of Knowledge lagi tinggi lah. Cuma macam mana, sometimes ada paper tu dia under Scopus and at the same time dia under Web of Knowledge. Do you have experience on that one, Prof?
It doesn't matter. Actually, it's more of the same. And don't worry about it because they are the database people. So you don't, accept it just as it is. So before in the closing remarks, I would like to give advice to especially students who want to be academia and academia themselves are right now. They are already at academia. So please put a lot of energy in your research proposal and try to gather as many good students working under you, because they are the ones who are factory workers. I coin it as factory operating people who want to publish who want to do your research and later on writing a manuscript and so on. So having studied in Japan, you have a lot of advantage. You have a lot of experience in how your sensei, pull you up and try to get a meeting at least once in a week and twice a week or something like that. So you continue that kind of work. And many people who are graduated from Japan, when I observe, they are actually the most successful in terms of paper publication because they follow what they have experienced in Japan. So because when you early in your career as academicians, you are bound to be assigned to many courses. Yeah, your courses to teach and many meetings and jawatan kuasa and many things. So don't worry, you do minimum level kind of teaching. For example, you teach in 2 subjects, you teach it. Teaching is another way of expressing your research. You know, don't be shy to include your research findings in your classrooms. You know, within the limits of curriculum requirements, you can actually put up to trigger interest. Some students later, when they are undergraduate, they become graduate student, they will identify you as a potential supervisor. So you can advertise your work 5 minutes after class, and this is what I've been doing. This is the findings. You know, you put it, as a sidekick to your course, and you teach in a very forceful manner, in an honest way, so that people get interested in the way you teach. you know, because they are the one who later check in your lab. Yeah. And then, of course, your main energy, I would say like 70% goes into your research. 30 other percent you go to the, you do because you are bound to be instructed and appointed by your dean as a person who would do this thing, you know, that will sidetrack you from doing research, right? So be very careful, you know. So if you are already in the associate professor position, you have to concentrate much in your publication, like I did. You know, I concentrate a lot. You know, when you are being asked, you know, by the dean, how much you want to put in research and how much you put in your teaching, you say, I want to put 70% of my time, of my energy into research. So don't disturb me that much. You say outright in the face, you know, if you want this faculty to go and get famous, so, and I am capable of doing it, don't disturb me so much. Don't assign me too many things. I want to concentrate with my research. And if the dean is understood what you say, then they won't. And you have to walk your talk. You know, if you say, oh, I'm very powerful in research, then you don't walk your talk. People won't believe you. You know, people will say, oh, you just, you know, trying to show off. You know, don't try to say that I graduated from Harvard University and I'm so famous here. Don't say that. Let your success make the noise. Yeah. Make your paper make the noise, not you, not your mouth. Yeah. So your paper will make a lot of noise around the world. Yeah. So you remain silent. Yeah. Your publication make the noise. So so you put a lot of energy in your research. You do it every day and take care of your students. When the students want to see you, you give time for them. Yeah. Don't say I'm busy right now. Don't tell me for 2 minutes you are busy. You know, even in the hallway you meet. You know, of course you want to be better. You make a schedule. You know, students can see me on Wednesday morning, and be there. You say Wednesday morning you are not there. The student will be frustrated. You know, like you know, you keep up your promises with the students. You know, so I think that at least what I did, and do it seriously, honestly. You know, and then. The bonanza will be with you in later years. Yeah? You will pick up a lot of bonanza. So try to be a teamwork in your faculty. People will not hate you. People will, you know, especially borrowing instruments and things like that. It's, you know, have something to offer for them. If for example, one way people will say, oh, you are an opportunist, and you know, works as a team. In the university, is you cannot work alone. Sometimes you have to borrow GCMS from other persons, HPLC and other equipments that are not available in your lab. Then get to know people, who's who in the university that you can work with, and find a team that people are approachable. Don't find a nutcracker, you know, people who crack your head and make you headache. You know, there are people who out there, selectively speaking, you can work with. Some people are just, you know, selfish enough. They you know, by studying human behavior, you know, you are clever people, so you know who's who in the university that you can work with, and identify them and try to make way. You know, be anticipating some trouble ahead, and so it's a kind of parameters that you always have to be aware, but don't get involved in consultations. That's my final advice. Consultation can make money, can give you money, but they don't give you publications. Yeah. Later on, when you become my age, then people will call you for consultations when you become an expert. If you are not an expert for what you are doing, yeah, you are following others. Yeah, you are under the shadow of others. Leap out of that shadow and be yourself. You know, because if you are an engineer, if you are professional or semi-professional, it's very easy for senior people in the university. Hey, you can do this for me. Then we can go out, and that will sidetrack you easily. And I saw many people do that, and they regret in later life. You know, consultation, of course, because during the time of this economic difficulty, people tend to find ways to get money. And when you are in the consultation group, you get lots of money sometimes, and you forget about your main duty of publication in the university. Yeah, you can make do with your consultation, of course, but you can make do with one publication in 2 years. It's okay. University won't get you, but your career is at stake. I did a right choice because of advice from one senior professor. They say there are two junctions. When you are in academia, you have two junctions you want to choose. Junction 1, consultation. Junction 2, publication. Which one you want to choose? It's up to you. So if you choose consultation, of course, you can gain money. You can use BMW, you can buy Porsche and so on. But later on, people will know you. You just, be yourself, in terms of, so when you are in publication, people know you internationally, people will invite you, people will try to collaborate with you, and you will get even more money than the consultation fee that you get in your earlier part of your career. That's my advice.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for everything. Alhamdulillah, so we have a very good session, a very fruitful discussion. And I would like to thank you again for your precious time this Saturday morning. Sepatutnya pergi ke pasar tadi, breakfast dengan family dan sebagainya. So Alhamdulillah, for all the viewers, thank you again for your participation. Orang Jepun kata go techo arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you for your kind attention. So Prof, again, jazakumullah khair untuk segalanya. Dan insyaAllah ada kesempatan kita akan jemput lagi dalam EduTalk and so on. And again, this talk is organized by MADANI, one of the platform for postgraduates, for workers, professional workers in Japan, together with collaboration of with YPP, Young Professional Apprentice. So we hope that this kind of talk can be organized again later on. So I would like to close this session, inshallah, with tasbih kifarah suratul Asr. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus solihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you again, everybody.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Hazarul, backstage.
Okay, I will close the session.